I still remember the night the streets turned red behind us. We thought we'd just hit a stash house for some easy cash, in and out before sunrise. But the second I heard those engines roar behind us, the second I saw that wall of red lights filling my rear view, I knew we didn't just rob money. We stole something that could burn the whole block down. You're watching Tales from the Block. Hit that like button and subscribe. I got real stories from the streets for you. That night started quiet. South Central felt like it always did when something bad was about to happen. Too still, too dark, like the whole city was holding its breath. The streetlights buzzed low over cracked sidewalks. Blue tags sprayed across brick walls. Trash rolling in the warm wind. Somewhere far off, a siren wailed, then faded. We were parked in an old blue Chevy Impala behind a liquor store offermont. The car smelled like smoke, oil, and gunmetal. My hands were sweating on the steering wheel, even though I tried to look calm. In the passenger seat, Ghost leaned back, hood up, eyes half closed like he was meditating before a war. "You sure about this, Trig?" he asked, voice low, steady. I glanced over at him, his face half lit by the dashboard glow, sharp features, thin mustache, one teardrop tattoo that caught the light when he turned his head. He was always calm, even when he was about to do something insane. "We done worse," I said. "This one's just money, bro. In and out." He gave a small smirk. "Ain't never just money in this city." In the back seat, Lil Ray kept bouncing his knee, tapping the barrel of his Glock against his thigh. 17 years old, blue bandana around his neck, fresh white tee. Too clean to be in this mess. He'd only been running with us for a year, still had that spark in his eyes, the kind that dies fast in the game. "You think I got guards inside?" Ray asked. Drex turned from the window. "Of course they got guards, fool. It's the Bloods. Only question is how many and how quick they shoot." Tino laughed under his breath, the kind of laugh that meant he was already picturing it. "Ain't no Pyru ready for us tonight. We hit, grab the cash, and bounce. 10 minutes maximal." Ghost looked at me. 10 minutes, Trig. You drive. No hero moves. If anything feels off, we gone. You hear me?" I nodded, but truth was, nothing ever felt off to Ghost. He was too cold. If he said move, we moved. If he said someone had to get dropped, we didn't argue. I trusted him like a brother, but something in the back of my head, a small voice, had started whispering that Ghost trusted no one back. We pulled out, tires crunching over glass, headlights off until we hit the next block. The air felt heavy. Every red light we passed glowed like blood on concrete. When we turned the corner onto 116th, I saw it, an old one-story house behind a chain-link fence, boarded windows, one dim light over the porch. The Blood stash spot. Ghost checked his watch. 1 a.m. They switched shifts at 1:30. We got a 30-minute window before someone comes back to check. Tino handed out gloves, black masks. The metal of the crowbar clinked when he passed it to Drex. I felt my pulse jump. "Let's get it done," Ghost said, voice quiet but sharp. We jumped the fence one by one. The yard smelled like weed and gunpowder, the kind of place you could feel the weight of what happened there before. Drex pried the back door open with a low groan. Inside, it was dark, quiet, too quiet. The living room was trashed. Empty bottles, dirty money counters, half-burned blunts in ashtrays. We moved fast, flashlights off, using the moonlight leaking through the blinds. In the back room, Tino kicked open a locked closet. Inside, there were bricks of cash stacked in duffel bags. "Jackpot," he whispered, but Ghost didn't smile. He kept his light moving, eyes scanning. "There's more. Look for anything else. Redline don't hide money without hiding something bigger." I started checking drawers. Old photos, a box of bullets, a burner phone. Then I saw a small metal case under the bed. Black, clean, locked tight. I pulled it out, heart thudding. "Yo, Ghost," I called. "Got something." He crouched next to me, flashlight flicking on for a second. "What's that?" "Don't know." "Locked up." He smashed the latch with the butt of his pistol. Inside was a small silver flash drive and a folded piece of paper with a list of names. Half of them Bloods, the rest? Cops. Detectives. What the fuck? I whispered. Ghost stared at it. Unreadable. Grab it. We taking that too. Why? It ain't money. Just do it. There was something in his tone that made me stop asking questions. We loaded the bags, cash and all, jumped back into the Impala. Ghost told me to hit the freeway. I could feel the adrenaline buzzing under my skin like electricity. Lil Ray laughed from the back seat. We did it, bro. They ain't even know we. He stopped when Ghost turned around, face dead serious. Don't celebrate yet. They'll know soon enough. We were halfway down Crenshaw when it started. A single pair of headlights appeared behind us, then two more, then five. Yo, Trig, Drex said slowly, peering through the back window. We got company. Ghost leaned forward. Keep driving. Don't stop. Don't slow down. The cars behind us spread out like a hunting pack. I could see red glow reflecting off their hoods, pyro colors. They knew. Somehow they already knew. How the hell? I started, but Ghost cut me off. Doesn't matter. Just drive. We hit a red light, and I didn't even think. I ran it. Tires screeched, horns blared. The Impala shot forward like a bullet. I could hear the Bloods shouting behind us, engines roaring. The rearview mirror filled with red bandanas and flashing beams of headlights. They come in fast. Ray yelled, "Hold on!" I shouted, swerving down an alley, the car bouncing over potholes. Trash cans exploded behind us. Drex fired a few shots out the window, muzzle flashes lighting up the dark. Glass shattered somewhere behind us. My hand was shaking, heart pounding so hard it drowned out everything else. Ghost kept his voice calm. Left, then right, then get to Florence. Lose M in traffic. We turn hard, tires squealing. One of the chasing cars clipped the corner of a dumpster and spun out, but two more stayed tight. I saw a flash of chrome, an AK out the window, the air filled with cracks of gunfire. The rear windshield burst, glass raining into the car. Shit! Ray screamed, ducking. I pressed the pedal to the floor, adrenaline blinding me. The city blurred, streetlights, smoke, broken glass, the hum of death behind us. Ghost pulled his piece and fired twice through his window. One of the chasing cars slowed, smoke rising from its hood. We made it to the overpass, turned onto a side street, and I killed the headlights. We coasted into an empty lot behind an abandoned church, engine steaming. Everyone was breathing heavy, chests heaving like we'd run miles. Yo, we get... Ray asked, voice cracking. Drex checked the back window. For now. But they gonna be looking. Ghost said nothing. He just stared at the silver flash drive in his hand, the city lights flickering across his face. I finally spoke. You knew it wasn't just money, didn't you? He looked up slow. I had a feeling. What the hell's on that drive? Something the Bloods don't want nobody to see. Tino frowned. So what? Now we got every pyro in the city hunting us. Over a piece of plastic? Ghost didn't answer. He slipped the drive into his pocket, eyes distant. You don't get it. This thing's worth more than the cash. Maybe worth more than all of us. I didn't like how he said that. We laid low in Drex's cousin's garage for a few hours. The smell of oil and burnt rubber hung thick in the air. The Impala sat there, bullet holes through the glass, smoke stains on the paint. Ray couldn't sit still. They was right on us, bro. They knew, like, instantly. Somebody must have told him. Don't start that snitch talk, Tino warned. I'm just saying how they know exactly where we was. I leaned against the hood, arms crossed, thinking he wasn't wrong. We'd planned it tight. Ghost had all the details. The only way the Bloods could have known that fast was if someone tipped them off before we even got there. Ghost looked up. You calling me a snitch, Ray? Ray froze. Nah, bro, I ain't say that. Ghost stood, walked close till their faces were inches apart. His voice was calm, almost too calm. You ever call me that again, I'll show you what happens to people who do. I stepped between them. Joe, chill. We all stressed, man. Let it go. Ghost stared at me for a second, then backed off. He walked to the corner of the garage, sat on a tire stack, lit a cigarette. That was the first time I saw something in his eyes that I didn't recognize. Something cold. We waited until dawn. The sky turned gray, smoke floating low over the blocks. Outside, the world started moving again. Dogs barking, buses rolling, the sound of helicopters far away. I told everyone to split for the day, lay low until I figured out where we could move the cash. But Ghost stayed close. When the others left, he came up beside me, voice quiet. We can't keep that drive forever. I wasn't planning to. He looked me dead in the eyes. We could use it, Trig. Sell it. Get out. Sell it to who? The cops. He didn't answer, just gave that same cold smile. You serious? I said. You trying to play both sides now? He stepped back. I'm trying to live. You want to die broke on Crenshaw? Be my guest. But me? I'm tired of this cycle. I shook my head. That ain't what we do. He smirked. Yeah? Then what do we do? Keep bleeding for colors? For a block that don't love us back? His words stung because they sounded too real. I didn't answer. He flicked his cigarette away, turned to leave. Think about it, bro. That little drive might be the ticket out. Or it might get us all killed. Depends who holds it. By nightfall, word had spread. The Bloods were out heavy. Every corner, every alley, their cars crawling slow, looking for Blue. We regrouped in my spot, a small apartment above a tire shop. The air inside smelled like sweat and fear. Tino was pacing. They hit 2 of our boys already. Redline put a bounty on whoever took that stash. 10 large ahead. Ray looked at me, eyes wide. They gon' come here, huh? I loaded my pistol, chamber clicking. Latching. But we ain't going down easy. Ghost leaned against the wall, quiet again. He'd been different all day, distant, thoughtful, like he was already planning something we didn't know about. Where's the drive? Drex asked. Ghost pulled it from his pocket, twirling it between his fingers. Right here. Something in my gut twisted. Why are you still carrying that, man? Let me hold it. He smirked. You don't trust me? I just don't trust nobody right now. He hesitated, then handed it over. I slipped it into my jacket. His eyes lingered on it like he'd just given me his heart or lost his leverage. We stayed up all night, waiting for the sound of engines, for footsteps outside. It was the longest night of my life. Every creak in the building made my hand twitch toward my gun. Around 3 a.m., Drex fell asleep on the couch. Ray sat by the window watching the street, and Ghost slipped out onto the balcony. I followed him. The city stretched below us. Orange streetlights, police sirens echoing far away, smoke rising from somewhere near Florence. You ever think about leaving? Ghost asked, staring at the skyline. All the time. Then why don't you? I looked at him. Because everyone I love is still here. He nodded slow, eyes still on the horizon. That's the problem. At dawn, I woke to banging on the door. Joe, Tariq. It was Drex, voice panicked. They outside. I jumped up, grabbed my gun. Through the blinds, I saw them. At least 4 cars, red bandanas hanging from mirrors, men stepping out with rifles. The Bloods had found us. Ghost was already at the back window, calculating. We go now, or we die here. I grabbed the duffel of cash, shoved the flash drive deep into my pocket. Ray's hands were shaking. We can't fight all of them, bro. Tino cocked his shotgun. Then we take as many as we can with us. The first bullets shattered the front windows. Glass exploded inward, drywall cracked. Someone screamed. I fired back blindly through the smoke. Out the back, Ghost yelled. We ran through the kitchen, down the stairs, into the alley. The air was filled with gunfire and echoing shouts. I could hear tires screeching, the roar of engines. We jumped into the Impala. I turned the key. Engine coughed, sputtered, then roared. We sped out, shots ringing off the trunk. And just like that, we were back where we started, blue car flying down the street. Red lights chasing behind us, smoke rising from the hood. Ray screamed over the chaos. Trig, they ain't stopping. I looked in the mirror. Bloods closing in, guns out the windows, their headlights like demons. Ghost shouted, drive, bro. Don't stop. I pressed harder on the gas, the world shaking around me. And in that moment, with bullets tearing the air, my brothers yelling, the city bleeding red behind us, I realized something. We hadn't just stolen from the Bloods. We'd stolen from the devil himself. And he was coming to collect. The sun was barely up, but the whole city already knew our names. By the time we ditched the car behind an old body shop near Florence and Normandy, bloods were circling the blocks like sharks smelling blood. I could hear the low growl of their engines from a mile away. Every window, every alley felt like eyes were on us. We were crouched in the shadows, the Impala still smoking from the last chase. The windshield was cracked, bullet holes across the doors. Ray was breathing hard, his face pale, knuckles white on his gun. "Bro, they everywhere," he whispered. "Stay quiet," I said. "We move when I say move." Ghost was pacing, hands on his head, thinking like he always did, fast and cold. "They got eyes all over. We can't go back to the block. They probably already hit our spots." Tino spat on the ground. "So where we going, genius?" Ghost turned to me. "We need to get out the south side. Lay low till this cools." "Cool off." Drex barked. "You think Redline letting this cool off?" We took his stash and his secret. "He ain't stopping till he see our faces in a coffin." Ghost shot him a glare. "Then we make sure he don't get that chance." I looked down at the duffel bag. Money, guns, and that damn silver flash drive. It felt like it weighed more than gold. My heart was pounding, not from fear, but from the way the air felt. Heavy, cursed. I didn't know it yet, but that drive was already pulling us apart. We made our way through back alleys, staying low, avoiding main streets. The morning light cut through the haze, painting everything gold and dirty. I could still smell gunpowder on my hoodie. When we reached a dead end behind a corner store, Ghost stopped. We split up. Meet at the motel on 90-second later. Cop's gonna start looking too. The Bloods ain't the only ones after us now. Tino frowned. "Split up? That's how fools get caught." Ghost shrugged. "That's how we stay alive." Everyone looked at me, like I had the final word. I hated that, being the one they looked to, even when I didn't have all the answers. "Do it," I said finally. "Lay low. No phones, no calls. Just be there by night." Ray hesitated. "What about you, Trig?" "I'm keeping the drive safe." Ghost's eyes flicked toward my jacket pocket, then back up to my face. "You sure you can handle that? Why you a skin like that?" He smirked. "Just making sure you ain't gonna lose it." We stared at each other for a moment, long enough for the silence to feel dangerous. Then he turned and walked off without another word. I didn't go straight to the motel. Something told me to figure out what was on that drive first. If we were gonna die for it, I needed to know what the hell it was. I knew a dude named Curtis. Used to do IT work for small-time hustlers, cleaning up burner phones and erasing evidence. He owed me a favor from back when I saved his cousin from a bad deal. He lived in a beat-up duplex off Manchester, the kind of place where curtains never opened. When I knocked, he cracked the door just enough to see my face. "Trig, man, what the hell you doing here this early? Need you to open something for me." Real quiet. He let me in, eyes darting toward the street before locking the door. The place smelled like burnt wires and stale beer. Old computer parts covered the table. I handed him the flash drive. "I need to know what's on it." He turned it over in his hand, then plugged it into a laptop. "If this some street mess, man." "It is," I said. "Just do it." The screen lit up. Folders, encrypted files, video, thumbnails. Curtis' eyes widened. "Damn, you got something serious here. Show me." He clicked one of the videos. The screen showed a dark warehouse. Two men in Blood's colors shaking hands with a uniformed cop, exchanging cash. Then another video. The same cop handing a bag to a man I recognized instantly. Marcus Redline Davis, the Blood's boss. He was paying the cops to cover hits, move product, and silence witnesses. But that wasn't all. Curtis scrolled down and opened a folder marked insurance. Inside were photos, documents, even phone recordings. One file froze my blood. A conversation between Redline and a detective, planning the murder of a Crip lieutenant 2 months ago. A man I used to roll with. Curtis leaned back. "Bro, this ain't just street business. This is corruption, murder, blackmail. Whoever had this was holding half the city hostage." I stared at the screen, fists clenched. "That's why they want it back." He nodded. "If Redline knows you got this, he'll burn the city down to find you. I left Curtis Place with my stomach tight. The city felt different now, quieter, like it was waiting. I cut through alleys, hoodie up, keeping my head low. Every car that slowed made my pulse jump. I needed to talk to Ghost. But when I got to the motel, only Ray was there. He sat on the bed, watching TV with the sound off, leg bouncing fast. "Where's Ghost?" I asked. "Left couple hours ago." Said he had something to handle. Something like what? Ray shrugged. Didn't say. Just told me to stay here. My jaw clenched. "And you let him go?" "He's Ghost. Bro ain't nobody tell him what to do." I dropped into the chair by the window, rubbing my temples. My mind was racing. Ghost was always 2 steps ahead, but lately, I didn't know if he was walking with us or away from us. Around sunset, Tino showed up. His shirt was torn, blood on his sleeve. "What happened?" I asked, standing up fast. "They hit Drex." Ray's face went pale. "What?" "Bloods found him outside the pawn shop. He tried to run. Didn't make it." The room went silent. I felt the air leave my lungs. Drex was rough, paranoid, always talking too much, but he was still one of us. "Where's Ghost?" I asked again, voice sharper now. Tino shook his head. "Ain't seen him. But word on the street is Redline put 10 stacks on each of our heads. Said whoever brings him the drive gets double." I looked out the window. Cars passed, headlights sliding across the blinds. I could almost feel the city closing in. Ray whispered, "So what we do now?" I didn't answer right away. My mind was still stuck on Drex. He'd been with us since day one. If Redline caught him, he probably died slow. Finally, I said, "We go underground. Change cars, new spot every night. No one moves alone." Tino grunted. "What about Ghost? If he ain't back by morning, we move without him." But I didn't believe that. Not really. Later that night, I stepped outside to clear my head. The motel sign flickered blue, buzzing over the empty parking lot. I lit a cigarette and leaned against the wall. The world felt too quiet. Then I heard it, a phone buzzing inside the room. Ray's phone. But I told everyone to ditch their phones. I ran back in. Ray was standing by the bed, phone in hand, face white. "Who's that?" I demanded. He stammered, I don't know, man. It just started ringing." I snatched it from his hand. The number wasn't saved, but I recognized the area code. Blood territory. The call ended before I could answer. A text followed right after. "You're running out of time. Tell Ghost to stop playing." I stared at the words. My stomach dropped. "Ghost." Ray swallowed hard. "What the hell does that mean?" I didn't answer. I just grabbed my jacket. "Stay here. Don't open that door for nobody." I found Ghost 2 hours later. He was sitting in the back booth of an old diner on Manchester, hood up, coffee untouched. When he saw me, he didn't look surprised. "Thought you'd find me. What you doing here?" He nodded toward the waitress, who looked nervous just walking past us. "Meeting someone." "Who?" He leaned back, eyes unreadable. "Someone who can make all this disappear." I sat down across from him. "You talking about cops?" He didn't answer, but he didn't have to. "You out your damn mind, Ghost. You selling out the crew now." He sighed. "You think I want this life forever? We run, we hide, we bleed, we bury our own. For what? Colors? Respect? That shit don't feed nobody. I'm done dying for the block. You think they gonna let you walk after this?" He smiled faintly. "They don't need to. I got leverage." That word, leverage, hit me wrong. "You already talked to them?" I asked. He didn't answer, just took a sip of his coffee. I stood up, jaw tight. "You crossed the line?" "Bro, maybe," he said quietly, "but at least I'm trying to survive it." I walked out before I did something I'd regret. The night air was cold, heavy with exhaust and anger. I felt betrayed, but I also felt scared, because part of me knew he wasn't wrong. The streets didn't love nobody. They just waited for your turn to die. When I got back to the motel, the door was half open. "Ray," I called. No answer. My chest tightened. I pushed the door wider. The TV was still on, flickering light over the room. The bed was empty. Then I saw the blood, smeared on the carpet, leading toward the bathroom. I ran in, gun up. Ray was on the floor, gasping, eyes wide, a knife wound deep in his side. Trig, he coughed, blood spilling from his lips. They got in, so they just wanted the drive. My throat closed. Who? He shook his head weakly. Didn't see faces. They wore red. I knelt beside him, pressing my hand over the wound. Stay with me, lil bro. You hear me? His eyes started to fade. Don't let Ghost. He never finished. The silence after he stopped breathing felt louder than gunfire. I buried Ray myself that night. Shallow grave behind an abandoned field by the tracks. Couldn't risk calling nobody. Couldn't risk leaving him out for them to find. When I finished, I sat there in the dirt, hoodie soaked, blood on my hands, the flash drive heavy in my pocket. The streetlights flickered overhead like they were breathing. I pulled out my phone, the one I swore I wouldn't use, and called Ghost. He answered on the second ring. Trig, you sold us out. He went silent. You told him where we was. Ray's gone. Drex too. You better pray I don't find you before they do. He sighed. You don't understand. I understand enough. You chose yourself. Then I hung up. By the next morning, word had spread. Everyone knew now. The Crips had stolen more than money. The streets were turning into open war. Bloods and Crips both getting hit in crossfire. Nobody knew who to trust. I hid out in an old mechanic's garage, barely sleeping. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Ray's face. The kid just wanted to belong, and I dragged him into hell. That afternoon, Tino found me. You heard about Ghost? He asked. I looked up. What about him? He made a deal. Met with them cops last night. My blood went cold. How you know? One of my people seen him. He handed him something. Probably that drive. I felt the rage burn through me. That's impossible. I got the drive right here. Tino blinked. Then what the hell did he give them? That's when it hit me. Ghost must have made a copy. I cursed under my breath. Tino frowned. So what now? I zipped up my jacket. Now we ended. The night felt like a storm about to break. Word was spreading fast. Redline was holding a meeting at one of his trap houses on Central, calling every blood set together to plan retaliation. If Ghost was really working with them cops, that's where he'd be, trying to play both sides. I couldn't let that happen. Not again. I stole a car, loaded my gun, and headed out. Every block I passed looked like a war zone. Burned out cars, gang tags, red and blue lights flashing far away. The city was bleeding from both sides now. By the time I reached the block, it was past midnight. I parked 2 streets over, moved on foot through the shadows. The air smelled like smoke and gasoline. The house sat at the end of the street, lights on, music low. Redline's car out front. I could see them inside, silhouettes, movement, voices. And one of them was Ghost. He stood near the door, hands raised like he was trying to calm everyone. Redline was pacing, gun in hand, yelling. I crept closer, pressed against the window. Told you I can fix this, Ghost was saying. I got the other copy. The Crips don't even know what it is. Redline, stop pacing. You better. 'Cause if you lying, I ain't. You give me protection, I'll get you that drive. My teeth clenched. He really did it. I couldn't listen anymore. I kicked the back door open. The sound made everyone freeze. Guns went up instantly. Ghost's eyes widened when he saw me. Trig. I fired a shot into the ceiling. Nobody moved. Redline smirked, stepping forward slow. You got balls, Crip. I kept the gun steady. You killed my people. This ends tonight. Ghost took a step toward me. Trig, listen. Don't. You ain't got nothing left to say. He looked desperate now. You don't get it, man. I was trying to protect us. They was gonna kill us all anyway. I made a deal to keep you alive. I shook my head. You sold your soul to the same devils that murdered our brothers. Redline laughed. Touching. Then he raised his gun. The room exploded in chaos. Shots, shouting, broken glass. I dove behind the counter, bullets ripping through the walls. Someone screamed. I popped up, fired twice. One of Redline's men dropped. Smoke filled the air, gunfire echoing like thunder. When it cleared, Redline was gone. Ghost was on the floor, blood soaking through his hoodie. I ran over, kneeling beside him. He coughed, blood running from his mouth. Told you. I was trying to save us. Save us. I whispered. You killed us. His hand gripped my wrist weakly. It don't matter now. Just burn that drive. Don't let nobody use it. Then his eyes went still. I stood there for a long time, the smoke settling, silence creeping back in. Outside, sirens wailed. Someone had called it in. I grabbed the flash drive, shoved it deep in my pocket, and slipped out the back before the cops arrived. The city was burning again. The Bloods were out for revenge, the Crips out for answers. And somewhere in the middle of it, I was the only one left who knew the truth. As I walked into the darkness, I realized something that made my chest ache. In the streets, betrayal ain't just what someone does to you. It's what the game makes you do to survive. And this game, it always collects its debt. The city hadn't slept in days. Smoke still hung over South Central like a warning, gray and heavy, crawling through the alleys and broken windows. Every corner had blood on it now. Every car that passed carried either ghosts or killers. And me? I was somewhere between both. I'd been hiding out in an old auto yard near Vernon Avenue. The place smelled like rust and gasoline, but it was quiet, and quiet was worth gold these days. The flash drive never left my sight. I taped it inside the lining of my jacket. Even when I tried to sleep, I could feel its weight pressing on my chest like a curse. I hadn't eaten. I hadn't called nobody. Every noise outside made me reach for my gun. Ghost was dead. Ray was gone. Drex too. All that was left of the Crips crew that started this whole mess was me and Tino, and even he was starting to slip away. It was just after sunrise when he came through the gate, hood up, eyes wild. Bro, he said, breathing hard. It's getting worse. I nodded, barely looking up. They hit 2 of our sets last night, he went on. Blood's rolling deep through Imperial, killing everybody wearing blue. Even kids, man. Redline's making an example. I muttered. An example? Tino snapped. He's making war. Ain't nobody safe. We gotta hit back, Trig. We can't just hide here while he burns everything. I stared at the floor, thinking, we can't fight that many. Not without backup. Tino scoffed. You think backup's coming? Everyone either dead or flipped. You heard what they saying? They think you sold us out. Word on the block is you was working with Ghost. That hit harder than any bullet. They think what? He looked away. You disappeared after the motel. You show up alone. Ghost ends up dead, and you walk out clean? People talking, bro. I stepped closer, jaw tight. You think I did it? He hesitated, then shook his head. Nah, but I ain't the one you gotta convince. I turned away, trying to calm the storm building inside me. Let him talk. Truth comes out eventually. Yeah. Tino said, in the streets, truth don't matter. Only who bleeds first. That stuck with me long after he left. I sat in the corner, staring at the drive. It wasn't just blackmail anymore. It was power, dirty, dangerous power. The kind that could burn the whole system down if I played it right. But the streets didn't care about justice. They only respected fear. So I made a choice. If everyone already thought I was a traitor, maybe I'd use that. Maybe I'd become the monster they feared and use it to bury Redline for good. That night, I called an old contact, Maya. She wasn't street, not exactly. Used to run with us back in the day before she cleaned up and started hustling information for whoever paid enough. She answered on the first ring. Trig, she said, voice low. Didn't expect to hear from you. You know what's going on out there, right? I know. You got the whole city looking for you. Redline wants you dead. Crips want answers. Cops want both sides gone. You should have skipped town. I can't. Not till it's done. She sighed. What you need? I need a meeting. Face to face with Redline. Are you insane? Probably. But he's the only one I gotta talk to. Talk. He'll shoot you on sight. Not if I show up with leverage. There was a pause. You still got that drive, don't you? Yeah. She hesitated again. All right. I'll make the call. But if you pull this, you better be ready to finish it. There ain't no coming back from this one. I know, I said quietly. Ain't been no coming back for a long time. The meeting was set for the next night. An abandoned nightclub on Central Avenue. The kind of place where music used to drown out the sound of pain. Now it just echoed with memories. Before I went, I stopped by the old neighborhood. The block was empty. Burnt cars, busted glass, murals covered in bullet holes. Kids used to play ball right there on the cracked asphalt. Now it was just silence. I stood where Ray used to sit, eating chips, talking about how he wanted to buy his mama a house one day. That dream was ashes now. I promised him before he died I wouldn't let Ghost win. But Ghost wasn't the real enemy. The real enemy was the world that made us think betrayal was survival. When I got to the club, Maya was already waiting inside. She wore a dark jacket, hair tied back, eyes sharp. "You sure about this?" she whispered. "Not even a little," I said. We waited. 10 minutes later, Redline walked in with 2 guards. He looked calm, like he'd already decided how this would end. Well, he said. "Look who crawled out from under a rock." I didn't flinch. "I came to make a deal." He laughed. "You think I make deals with rats?" "You can kill me," I said, "but then you'll never get what's on this." I pulled out the flash drive, just enough for him to see it. His eyes changed, only for a second, but I caught it. He waved his men off. "Leave us." When they were gone, he stepped closer. "You really got it. Every file, every video, all your dirty business with the cops. Everything Ghost gave his life for." He studied me. "And what you want?" "I want peace. You call off your war. You stop killing Crips. You stop burning my city." He smirked. "You think you could tell me how to run my streets?" I leaned in. "I ain't a skin. I'm saying. You go on like this, I'll leak every damn file to the news. Cops, feds, everybody'll know who runs this city and who you pay to look the other way." For the first time, I saw him hesitate. Then his smirk returned. "You got heart, Crip, but you got no army. What's stopping me from just talking that drive right now?" "Try it," I said. "And the second you do," Maya hit send. "Whole city sees your dirty laundry." He looked at her, then back at me. "You came prepared," he said. "But you forget one thing." "What's that?" "You still bleeding blue. That means I'll never trust you." He snapped his fingers. Doors burst open. Guns raised. I grabbed Maya, dove behind a bar as bullets tore through the air. Bottles shattered. Sparks flew. "Get down," I shouted. She crawled to the side, pulling a pistol from her jacket. "Guess negotiations over." "Yeah," I said, loading another mag. Now it's the fun part. The firefight lasted minutes that felt like hours. I dropped 2 of his men, felt one bullet graze my shoulder. Pain burned, but I kept moving. When the smoke cleared, Redline was gone. Again, Maya looked at me, breathing hard. "He escaped." "Let him," I said. "Now he knows I ain't bluffing." We left before more cars pulled up. Drove through the city in silence. Halfway across town, Maya finally spoke. "What now?" "He's not going to stop until he buries you." "I know. That's why I got to hit first." "Hit how?" "You're one man." "Not for long." I made a few calls that night to people who still remembered what loyalty meant. Old heads, small crews, anyone who'd lost family to Redline's war. By sunrise, I had a small army. We met in a parking lot behind an old church. Maybe 15 of us. Faces tired, angry, ready. "This ain't about colors no more," I told them. "This about taking back what's ours." He turned the streets into a slaughterhouse. "We end it tonight." No one argued. They were done talking. The plan was simple. Redline had one last safe house left, the mansion up near Baldwin Hills. Full security, steel gates, cameras. But I knew something he didn't. One of his lieutenants, Rico, was already sick of the bloodshed. I'd found him the night before, half drunk and ready to switch sides. He gave me the blueprints, guard shifts, entry codes. Everything. By midnight, we were in position. Cars idled with lights off. Guns loaded. Maya sat next to me, checking her weapon. "You sure you're ready for this?" "No," I said, "but I ain't stopping now." We moved in silent, through the fence, across the lawn, through the back doors. Everything went smooth until one of the guards spotted movement and shouted. It was chaos. Gunfire erupted like thunder. Bullets cracked windows, tore through walls. Men shouted, ducked, fell. Smoke filled the hallways. I kicked open the door to Redline's office. He was there, calm as ever, holding a pistol, a glass of whiskey in the other hand. "Took you long enough," he said. "This where it ends," I told him. He smiled. "You think you're the first one to try that? I built this city on blood. You kill me, Tim will take my place." "Maybe," I said, "but tonight it's your turn." We fired at the same time. His bullet grazed my arm. Mine hit him in the chest. He staggered, dropping the glass, eyes wide with disbelief. He fell back in his chair, breath rattling. "You think you won something, Crip," he hissed. "You just opened the door for worse men." I leaned close. "Then I'll be here for them too." His eyes went blank. It was over, or so I thought. As I turned to leave, I saw a figure in the doorway. Tino, gun in hand. "What you doing here?" I asked. He looked at Redline's body, then at me. "You really did it." "Yeah," I said. "It's done. We can start over now." He shook his head slowly. "Start over? Ain't no starting over. You just made yourself king of nothing. What you talking about?" "I told you, bro. They think you turned. You kill Redline, you take his throne. They already saying you switch sides." I frowned. "You believe that?" He looked down. "Don't matter what I believe. It's what they believe." He raised his gun. My heart froze. "Tino, don't. I gotta. If I don't, they'll kill me too. You know how this works." I stepped closer, slow. "You really gonna do this after everything?" His voice cracked. "You the one who taught me never to hesitate." He pulled the trigger. The shot echoed like thunder. But he missed, hit my shoulder instead of my chest. Before he could fire again, Maya burst in from behind and took him down with one clean shot. He fell, eyes wide, whispering something I couldn't hear. Then silence. I dropped to my knees, bleeding, shaking. Maya knelt beside me, pressing her hand to my wound. "Stay with me, Trig. Stay with me." I could barely breathe. The world was spinning. "Why'd he do it?" I whispered. She didn't answer. There was nothing to say. We sat there in the smoke, the mansion burning around us, sirens already wailing in the distance. They said later that night was the bloodiest South Central had seen in a decade. Redline's empire collapsed. The cops moved in, locking up half the remaining Bloods. The Crips splintered. Some went underground, some tried to rebuild. Me? I spent 3 weeks in a hospital bed, shoulder stitched, ribs cracked, heart empty. Maya visited every day. She brought me food, news, silence. When I was finally strong enough to walk, she handed me a small envelope. Inside was the flash drive. "You could sell this," she said, "or leak it. It'd tear the city apart. People'd see the truth." I looked out the window, sun setting over the skyline, golden and dirty like always. "The truth don't fix nothing," I said. "Just gives people new names to hate." Then I dropped the drive in the trash can. Weeks later, I went back to Ray's grave. The city was quieter now, like it was trying to heal. The air smelled like rain and gasoline. I stood there for a long time, hand in my pockets. "Guess we did it, lil' bro," I murmured. "Ain't no Redline no more. Ain't no ghost neither. Just me. And I don't even know what side I'm on anymore." A light breeze moved through the grass. Somewhere far off, a siren wailed and faded. I smiled just a little. Maybe that's okay. Maybe this time I walk away before the game takes me too. Then I turned and walked down the cracked road into the orange glow of another LA sunset. Behind me, the streets whispered like they always did about who lived, who died, and who broke the rules trying to survive. Because in the end, South Central never forgets. It just buries the bodies and keeps the rhythm going. You ever get to a point where you can't tell if you're alive or just stuck between moments? That's where I was. Weeks passed since Baldwin Hills. The fire, the bullets, the blood, it all blurred together into one long nightmare. I'd buried too many names by then. Ghost, Ray, Tino, Redline. But somehow I was still here, breathing, existing, not living. The hospital kicked me out once the bills piled up. I crashed at Maya's tiny apartment over on Crenshaw, above a liquor store that never closed. Every night, the neon open sign painted her walls red, like a reminder that danger never really sleeps. She tried to keep me grounded, tried to make me eat, sleep, think straight. But every time I closed my eyes, I heard the gunshots again, the fire, the lies. And under it all, I heard one question echo over and over. Why am I still alive? The streets had changed. With Redline dead, the Bloods didn't fall. They split. Half the sets wanted revenge. The other half wanted peace. But peace in South Central ain't peace. It's just reload time. The Crips were no better. Rumors spread like smoke that I'd sold out to the cops, that I'd made a deal with Redline before killing him, that I'd burned the flash drive to protect myself. Nobody knew the truth, and nobody cared. In the game, perception is truth. One night, Maya came home with that look, the kind that made my stomach twist. "They're talking again," she said. "Ooh, your old set. Word is somebody's been putting money on your head. Big money." I leaned back in the chair, sighed. "Figures. Ain't no loyalty left." "It ain't just them," she added quietly. "One of Redline's old lieutenants, some dude named Cutter, been rallying the Bloods. Says you got something that belonged to his boss." I frowned. "Cutter? Yeah, I remembered him. Big dude with a scar across his face. Always stood behind Redline during negotiations. Never said much. The kind of man who didn't need words to kill you." I stood up, pacing. "He wants a drive. You threw that thing away, Trig." "Maybe, but they don't know that." Maya crossed her arms. "Then what? You just wait for him to find you." I shook my head. "Nah, this time I finish it on my terms." That night, I walked back into the heart of the block. The air was thick with tension. Every corner had eyes. Every alley had whispers. Blue rags hung low. Red spray, paint-covered walls where blue once stood proud. I walked past the corner store, empty now, bullet holes in the window. Past the lot where we used to post up, laugh, talk about dreams we'd never see. The city felt like a graveyard built on broken promises. When I reached the basketball court, a figure stepped out from the shadows. "Never thought I'd see you walking around here again." I knew that voice. It was Darnell, my set's new shot caller. He used to be just a soldier under Drex, but power changes men quick. He wore a gold chain and a navy tracksuit, blue rag tied around his wrist like a crown. "Guess I'm hard to kill," I said. He smiled without warmth, or too dumb to know when to disappear. He took a few steps closer. "You know, Trig, people used to look up to you. You was solid, 10 toes down. Then you go ghost for weeks, show up alone, kill Redline, and act like nothing happened." "I ain't act like nothing happened," I said. "Everything happened." He tilted his head. "That's the problem. You brought all that heat down on us. Now everybody wanting to know who's in charge. You put a target on every Crip in this city. Don't blame me for what Redline started." "I ain't," he said coldly. "I'm just saying some messes need cleaning, and the block decided you the one that gotta go." Before I could answer, I heard safeties click. 3 shadows moved out from behind the fence, guns drawn, aimed steady. I didn't move, didn't blink. "Go ahead," I said. "If you're gonna do it right." Darnell stared at me for a long moment, eyes cold. Then he waved his hand. "Not here," he said. "Too many memories on this court. Get lost, Trig. Next time we see you, it's open season." I turned and walked away, but I knew it wasn't mercy. It was delay. He wanted me scared. He wanted me broken. But I've been both already. Back at Maya's, I started packing. Guns, cash, burner phones. She caught me halfway through. "You leave it? I can't stay. They know where I am now. So you run?" I looked at her. "You think that's running? Every corner in this city got death on it. I'm just trying to find one that ain't mine yet." She sighed, stepped closer. "You don't got to keep doing this, Trig. You don't know the streets, nothing. That's where you're wrong," I said quietly. "I owe him everything, and that's the problem." Before she could say more, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. "Trig Mills," a voice said, deep, rough, familiar. "Who this?" "Name's Cutter. We need to talk." I froze. "You got balls counting me," I said. "I got something better. Information. Meet me tomorrow night. East 94th and Main, under the bridge. You don't show, I come find you." Click. The line went dead. Next night, I went alone. Maya begged me not to, But this wasn't her war. It was mine. The bridge was empty except for a single car idling near the pillars, a black Charger, tinted windows. The hum of the freeway above mixed with the chirp of crickets and the faraway echo of sirens. Cutter stepped out, built like a tank, tattoos creeping up his neck like vines, scar cutting through his left eyebrow. He smiled, showing gold teeth. Still breathing, huh? Redline must have been slipping. Funny, I said. He said the same about you before he died. He chuckled. You got jokes, but I ain't here to play. You know why I called. You want the drive. He nodded. Redline had insurance. Files, videos, names. Cops, dealers, judges. Everybody on his payroll. That drive worth more than a city block. I ain't got it no more. Then you better find it. I shook my head. I burned that chapter. Ain't no more deals. His smile faded. Then I burn you. He pulled his gun, but I was faster. I hit the dirt behind a concrete pillar as bullets sparked off metal. My ears rang. I returned fire, 2 shots, then 3. He ducked behind a car, yelling orders. More men poured out from the shadows. Bloods, 6 at least. I was outnumbered bad. I ran along the bridge, jumped over a railing, landed hard in the drainage ditch below. Pain shot through my leg, but adrenaline drowned it. I kept running, bullets snapping at my heels, sparks lighting up the darkness. I turned a corner, dove into a storm drain, heart pounding. Silence. I waited, breathing shallow. Heard footsteps above, voices fading. Then nothing. After what felt like hours, I climbed out the other side, bleeding and shaking. Cutter wanted that drive, which meant he'd never stop. I needed to end this. Not for me. For everyone caught in the crossfire. When I limped back into Maya's apartment, she nearly screamed. What the hell happened? Bloods. Cutter found me. She grabbed the first aid kit, started cleaning the cuts on my arm. You could have died. I'm starting to think maybe that's what the city want. She stopped, looked at me. Don't say that. I'm serious, Maya. It's like no matter what I do, somebody bleeds. I try to fix it, but maybe the streets don't want fixing. Maybe they just want more bodies. She touched my face gently. You can't save the block, Trig. You can only save yourself. I looked into her eyes, tired, sad, honest. For the first time in a long time, I believed her. But the streets don't let you walk away clean. The next morning, I got a message slipped under the door. No name, no number, just one line. Tonight, the church. Come alone. The handwriting was shaky, but familiar. Tino's, except Tino was dead. I sat there staring at it, pulse rising. Maya, I said, pack your things. Now, what's going on? I think we got company. Before I could explain, glass shattered. Gunfire ripped through the window. We hit the floor. Maya, get down. Bullets tore through the walls. I returned fire, crawling toward the door. Outside, I heard engines too, maybe 3 cars. They found us, I hissed. Ooh, everybody. I grabbed her hand. Come on. We slipped out the back, down the fire escape, sprinted through the alley. The night was thick with smoke and panic. More shots behind us. We ducked behind a dumpster, both gasping for air. What now? She asked. I pulled the last mag from my pocket. Now we stopped running. We made it to the old church where Drex used to meet our crew. Burned out windows, pews covered in dust. I pushed the doors open, gun raised. No one, just silence. Then a voice from the dark. Always was too predictable, Trig. Cutter stepped out, smiling. Behind him, Darnell. And my stomach dropped. You working together? I said. Darnell smirked. Ain't no sides when money's on the table. Cutter offered me something better than loyalty. You sold out your own set. He shrugged. You think I care about some old colors? Blue don't pay bills. Red don't pay funerals. Money do. I shook my head. You a coward. He laughed. Nah, I'm alive. Cutter stepped closer. Last chance, Crip. You give me that drive, and maybe I'll let your girl walk out of here. Maya whispered, don't you do it. I looked at him, then at her. You sure? She nodded. It ain't worth it. I sighed, reached into my jacket, and pulled out a flash drive. Cutter's eyes lit up. Thought you said you burned it, Maya whispered. I lied. Cutter stepped forward, reaching for it. Smart man. That's when I threw it into the air. Maya pulled the pin on a flash grenade she'd carried since Baldwin Hills. Light exploded through the church, blinding white. I grabbed her, dove behind a pew as chaos erupted. Gunfire, screams, Cutter shouting orders. When the smoke cleared, I was already moving, one bullet in Cutter's shoulder, another in Darnell's leg. Drop it, I yelled. But Darnell raised his gun anyway. Maya fired first. He fell back against the altar, lifeless. Cutter staggered, bleeding, snarling. You think this ends with me? I don't care, I said. It ends tonight. He lunged, knife flashing. We crashed through broken pews, grappling in the dust. I felt the blade slice across my ribs, the burn of blood and fury. I grabbed his wrist, twisted, shoved the gun into his chest, and fired once. He fell. Hard. Silence filled the church again. Maya rushed to me, pressing a hand to my wound. You okay? I nodded weakly. Yeah, think so. But deep down, I knew something inside me had finally broken. We walked out into the night together. The city lights flickered in the distance, police sirens echoing faintly. I looked back at the church, smoke rising from its shattered windows. That it? She asked softly. Yeah, I said. That's it. We drove out toward the edge of the city, past the blocks that raised me and tried to bury me. The farther we went, the lighter the air felt. When we hit the freeway, Maya reached over and took my hand. You did what you had to, she said. I stared out the window at the endless stretch of road ahead. Maybe, I murmured, but every time I look back, I still see ghosts. We stopped at a lookout over the city. The skyline glowed red and blue, like the world couldn't decide which side it was on. Maya rested her head on my shoulder. What now? I thought about it for a long time. Now, I said quietly, we let the block breathe. And for the first time in my life, I meant it. But deep down, I knew it wasn't over. Because no matter how far you run, no matter how many ghosts you bury, the streets always find a way to remind you who you are. And somewhere out there, another young man in blue was already loading his first gun, chasing the same dream I once did. A dream that always ends the same way, with smoke and silence. The desert don't have mercy. It don't care who you are or what you've been through. It just swallows you whole. That's where I ended up, a ghost in the sand, somewhere outside Barstow. Me and Maya had been running for 2 weeks. No plan, no map. Just road after road until the signs stopped making sense. The money was drying up, the car was coughing smoke, and the world felt smaller every day. We'd sleep in motels that smelled like bleach and regret. She'd patch my wounds, I'd clean the guns, and in the silence between us there was something fragile, like peace, but not quite. I thought we'd made it out. I thought maybe, just maybe, the city had finally let me go. I was wrong. One morning, Maya shook me awake. Trig, TV. Her voice had that edge that makes your stomach twist before your mind catches up. I blinked, still half dreaming, then saw it. Gang leader Cutter dead in South LA church shooting. The newscaster's voice was calm, almost cheerful, like death was just weather. Behind her, a video played. Police tape, flashing lights, and a familiar silhouette being carried out on a stretcher. Cutter's body bag. Then the second headline hit me harder than any bullet. Local Crip member suspected in string of retaliatory killings. My mugshot filled the screen. Old one, back when I still thought blue meant family. Maya turned off the TV. They pinned it all on you. Of course they did. I laughed without humor. City needed a villain, and I fit the part. She looked at me, really looked. So what do we do now? Now, we disappear. But I knew the truth before I said it. There's no disappearing when your name's written in gun smoke. The heat started messing with my head. The nights were cold enough to crack your bones. The days hot enough to cook your thoughts. Sometimes I'd stare out at the horizon and swear I saw South Central shimmering in the distance. Drex laughing, Tino throwing dice, Ghost wiping blood off his knuckles. All of them alive, like nothing ever happened. Maya noticed the way I stared. You're not there anymore, Trig. I know. Then stop looking like you wish you were. But how do you stop missing the place that made you, even if it almost killed you? 3 nights later, the past found me again. We'd stopped at a gas station off Route 66, middle of nowhere. I went inside to grab water. When I came out, there was a black SUV parked beside our car. 2 men leaned against it, both wearing suits too clean for the desert. One of them smiled when he saw me. Trig Mills. I froze. You got the wrong man. He laughed softly. If I had $1 for every time I heard that. My name's Agent Cole. Deh. I said nothing. He stepped closer, sunglasses reflecting the desert sun. We've been looking for you since Baldwin Hills. Cutter's dead. Darnell's dead. Half the city's in chaos. You're the last name on the list. You here to arrest me? He smiled again. Not yet. We'd rather make a deal. What kind of deal? The kind where you stop running. You testify. Tell us everything about the sets, the guns, the money. We clean your record, get you a new name, new life. I stared at him, then at Maya watching from the car, fear in her eyes. And if I say no? He shrugged. Then we let the streets finish what they started. I stepped closer, lower my voice. You don't know those streets. They don't stop when you tell them to. He leaned in. Neither do we. He handed me a card. Think about it. You've got 48 hours. Then he walked away, SUV kicking up dust. That night, we parked near an old diner off the highway. Maya sat across from me in a booth that looked like it hadn't been cleaned since the 80s. So what now? She asked. I spun the car between my fingers. You ever heard the word freedom mean the same thing twice? She frowned. What are you talking about? Every time someone offers it, there's a price. Streets want my blood. Feds want my story. Ain't no freedom. Just new cages. Then what's the plan? I looked out the window. I don't know. Maybe we give him what they want. Trig. Not the feds, I said quickly. The city. Her eyes softened. You mean go back? I nodded. She leaned back, shook her head. You'll die there. Maybe, but at least I'll die on my terms. We drove all night. No music, just the hum of the engine and the ghosts riding in the back seat. When the skyline finally appeared again, those crooked towers rising over the smog, it hit me like a punch. Home. Hell. Both. Crenshaw looked worse than before. Burned buildings, boarded windows, kids tagging walls they were too young to die for. The cops didn't even bother coming down here anymore. We stopped at the basketball court where Darnell first pulled the trigger on our friendship. Someone had painted over the bullet holes. But paint don't fix history. Maya stood beside me, arms crossed. You sure about this? I nodded. It's got to end where it started. By noon, word spread that I was back. You could feel it in the air, tight, electric, dangerous. I walked through the neighborhood like a ghost returning to his grave. Faces turned, whispers followed. Some looked scared, others looked ready. When I reached the corner store, an old man stepped out. Mr. Harris. He used to sweep the sidewalk every morning, no matter how many times it got trashed. He looked at me like I was a bad memory come to life. Should have stayed gone, boy. Probably. He sighed. You can't fix this place. I ain't here to fix it. Then what? To finish it. He shook his head and went back inside. That night, I sent one message to every number still saved in my burner. Crenshaw Park. Midnight. No colors. No flags. Just truth. If they wanted me dead, they could have me. But they'd look me in the eyes when they did it. Maya begged me not to go. They won't listen. They don't gotta, I said. They just gotta understand. Midnight came. The park lights flickered. Shadows gathered. Crips, Bloods, stragglers from every set. The kind of crowd that could turn into a riot in seconds. I stepped into the center of the court. No gun. Just the same blue rag I'd worn since I was 13. Appreciate y'all showing up, I said, voice carrying through the quiet. Someone shouted, You got balls coming back here. Laughter followed. A few guns glinted under the lights. I raised a hand. I ain't here to fight. Not tonight. I'm here to say one thing. Silence settled like dust. I spent half my life repping blue. Thought it meant brotherhood. Thought it meant family. but all it meant was burying people I loved. A murmur rippled through the crowd. I killed for the set. I bled for it. And what we get? Empty streets, dead kids, cops who don't care, news that forgets us the next day. Someone stepped forward. Young dude, couldn't be more than 17. Then what you saying, old head? I'm saying the color don't matter no more. You die red, you die blue. It's the same dirt over your body. He spat on the ground. You talking peace? I'm talking survive. A few heads nodded. Others scoffed. Then another voice cut through. You sound like a snitch. The crowd turned. Agent Cole walked out from the shadows. No badge visible, just the smirk. Funny thing, he said, I told you we'd find you. My hand twitched toward my waistband, but he raised his first, gun in hand. Relax. I just came to watch the fireworks. Get out of here, I said. Oh, I will. After you start talking, he looked at the crowd. You think this man's one of you? He's been talking to us for months. You know why Cutter and Darnell died? Because he gave them up. Gasps. Murmurs. Guns came up. Maya shouted, he's lying, but the crowd was already moving, closing in. I glared at Cole. You playing a dangerous game, Agent. He grinned. I always win. That's when the first shot rang out. Chaos exploded. Screams, smoke, panic. Crips turned on Bloods. Bloods turned on each other. Cole ducked behind a car, laughing like a man who'd lit the match on purpose. I grabbed Maya, pulled her down. We gotta go. Bullets shredded the court. People fell. Sirens wailed in the distance, too late like always. We ran toward the edge of the park, cutting through smoke. Then another shot. Louder, closer. Maya fell. I turned, dropped to my knees. Blood spreading across her side, red on red. No, no, no. She coughed, grabbed my hand. Keep running. Don't you say that. Promise me, Trig. I shook my head, tears blurring the world. I can't. Promise. Her eyes were steady, fierce. I promise, I whispered. She smiled once, soft, tired, and then she was gone. The world stopped. All the noise faded, the guns, the screams, even the sirens. Just wind and blood and silence. I stood slowly, picked up her gun, looked toward the chaos, the lights, the broken pieces of every life I tried to save. And I walked straight into it. Cole saw me coming, tried to lift his weapon. Too slow. I shot once. The bullet caught him in the shoulder, spun him sideways. He dropped to the ground, clutching the wound. You're finished, Mills. I knelt beside him, pressed the barrel to his head. No, I'm just starting over. Then I stood and turned toward the street. By dawn, the park was empty. Bodies covered. Sirens gone. The city quiet again, like it always pretends nothing happened. I sat on the bleachers, Maya's blood still on my hands. The sun broke through the haze, gold spilling over the cracked pavement. And I realized something I should have known all along. There ain't no out. Not for people like me. You don't escape the life. You just trade one ghost for another. I looked at her gun, then at the sky. Then I stood, walked to the center of the court, and dropped it. Walked away. No blue, no red, no flag. Just me. Weeks passed. I drifted north, doing odd jobs under fake names. Construction. Warehouses. Never staying long enough for the past to catch up. At night, I'd sit outside and listen to the wind, pretend it was the city talking to me, telling me it forgave me. One morning, I stopped pretending. I drove to a small town near the coast, checked into a cheap motel, and turned on the news. South Central had burned again. Another raid, another cleanup. The anchors said it like a script they'd rehearsed too many times. But one thing caught my eye, a mural. It showed a woman with long hair, a city skyline behind her, and the words, "Let the block breathe." Maya's words. Someone remembered. That night, I walked down to the ocean. The air was cold, salt biting at my face. The water stretched forever, dark, endless, honest. I pulled the blue rag from my pocket. It was torn, faded, barely holding together. For years, it had been everything. My flag, my curse, my name. I tied it once around my hand. Then I let it go. The tide carried it away, into the dark. And for the first time since I could remember, I felt light. People like to talk about redemption. They think it's some big moment. Music swells, credits roll, all that Hollywood noise. But it ain't like that. It's quiet. It's lonely. It's you standing by the ocean, letting go of something that once defined you. You don't get forgiven. You just stop running long enough to breathe. That's all redemption really is. Breathing. Weeks later, I got a letter. No name. No return address. Inside, a single photograph. The mural again. Bigger now. Painted across a whole building. Kids playing basketball underneath it. On the back, 4 words. You made it matter. I stared at it until the sun went down. Then I folded it up, put it in my pocket, and walked away. There ain't no happy endings in my story. Just endings. But sometimes that's enough. Because somewhere out there, a kid is still alive because of the chaos I survived. And maybe that's the only way the streets forgive you. By letting someone else walk free where you couldn't. I don't know what comes next. Maybe peace. Maybe nothing. But whatever it is, it's mine.